Alright, good, yeah. So today I'm gonna be talking about how processed sugars aren't bad for you and how complex carbs are. But first, let's break down the old misconception how processed sugar is bad for you, and that's what every fitness guru slash doctor says. But in reality, most people eat processed sugars in products that also contain seed oils, emulsifiers, preservatives, etc. But they only blame the sugar because the shit medical industry has put the target on sugar, so that when people avoid sugars but still eat junk with fucking chemicals, they think something is wrong with them. Maybe they have shit genetics or they have too much accumulative damage, and then they seek medical treatment with drugs like Ozempic. So that's how they drive the fucking money, the little long noses. Meanwhile, complex carbs get a health halo because they don't spike insulin, but they hold insulin up for hours, alright? And that's for some fucking reason glorified. Well, it's glorified so people get fucking metabolic problems, and then they seek out drugs like Ozempic. It's the long noses. It's the long noses all along. But anyway, and this leads to insulin resistance, which pretty much causes like 99% of the metabolic disease people encounter nowadays, like insulin resistant diabetes, obesity, heart disease, etc. And so we have processed sugars like table sugar, high fructose corn syrup, dextrose, etc., which have been demonized. We have complex carbs like rice, pasta, bread, etc., which has been glorified because it's organic and it's healthy. And people overlook the fucking chronic insulin from starch strips and the chemicals in the food that have processed sugars. Okay, but first let's get into some theory. To understand my angle, let's get into some theory. What carbs are, okay? So, what are they? They're sugar and sugar chains, right? And there's two types of carbs. Simple, which could be categorized for glucose, fructose, sucrose, and complex, starch, fiber. And they're a micronutrient, and they have around 4 kilocalories per gram, and it's stored as glycogen in the muscle and liver. And once the storages are saturated, lipogenesis kicks in, and it's stored as body fat. Now, what your body uses them for: fast ATP production, right? When you're pushing a hard set, when you're doing sprints, high intensity activities, they require glycogen because they metabolize much faster than fat, even though fat contains way more, like double fucking the kilocalories per gram. It takes longer to break down, so that's why your body uses fucking carbs as energy source during high intensity scenarios. And also, brain prefers glucose, and red blood cells only use glucose. But even though when you're like in fucking, when you don't eat carbs, your body's gonna turn on ketosis. So when people say that you need fucking carbs for your brain, that's fucking bullshit. And there's types and speed, like fast, like I said before, fast sugars like from honey, fruit, juice, maple syrup, like quick in and out. Then there's slow carbs like rice, oats, bread, pasta, which take a longer to fucking digest. And then there's fiber, which your body can't digest, but it does use to feed the microbiome in your gut. Now, how sugar is digested. First, we start at the mouth, so the salivary amylase starts breaking starch into simple sugars, so the salivary enzymes. And then the stomach, minimal carb breakdown here, as it holds the amylase activity. And then in the small intestine, the pancreatic amylase plus brush border enzymes turn carbs into glucose, fructose, and galactose. So it starts to break down, okay? And then there's the absorption process, in which these sugars enter the bloodstream by the intestinal wall and then spike the blood glucose, which is when insulin kicks in. And so the pancreas releases insulin to move glucose from blood into the muscle and liver and glycogen storage. And the insulin also signals to the body to stop burning fat and focus on storing energy, okay? And like I said before, if the storages are saturated, lipogenesis kicks in, and then it's stored as body fat. Now, why complex carbs induce chronic insulin, okay? Starch and other complex carbs are chains of glucose, okay? This means that the enzymes cut links for hours, which means slow gastric emptying, slow glucose leak into the blood, lower peak of insulin, and bigger area under the curve, meaning insulin stays for longer. And then 2 or 3 starch meals a day. Most people eat fucking carbs in every meal, and complex carbs to make it even worse. So the insulin never bottoms out, and their insulin is chronically elevated because they're putting complex carbs in their body all the fucking time. And that means their insulin is chronically elevated, which leads to insulin resistance, low SHBG, worse partitioning, diabetes, etc. Okay? So it's not that sugar is evil, it's a signal shape of the insulin, right? So we have spike and clear versus drip and drag. Now, sugar and inflammation. No matter what you do, digesting sugar induces an inflammatory response in your body, okay? So it's a fast carb oxidation, which equals transient oxidative stress, which is normal, okay? That's just how the body works. But here's the thing, fruit brings buffers like antioxidants like vitamin C, polyphenols, potassium, magnesium, water, etc. to counteract that inflammatory process, right? And here's the thing: candy bars, for example, or any processed sugar, right? Like cookies or whatever the fuck, they have a stack of sugar, which okay, but then cereals, emulsifiers, fucking color dyes, preservatives, etc. And they don't have the antioxidants, okay? So you're getting the fucking negative benefits of all those fucking chemicals that are added into the food, like cereals and stuff. And you don't get the antioxidants, or at least if you're not fucking European, because in European, many of the preservatives are antioxidants anyway, but still, it's not perfect. But anyway, and you're not getting the antioxidants to counteract the inflammation from the sugar digestion, okay? So it's not the sucrose molecule itself that's bad for you, it's the shit that they put alongside with it. And the fact that you don't get antioxidants. And here's the thing, with complex carbs, yeah, you don't get, well, I mean, unless you have fucking buy trash, but most of the time it's going to be organic, right? And yeah, you don't get the fucking cereals, you don't get emulsifiers, you don't get fucking food dyes, you don't get all these crazy chemicals, but you also don't get the antioxidants that you would with fruit. And the inflammation is even worse than with simple sugars because the insulin, because the fucking digestion takes longer. And you need more insulin to fucking drive that shit into the... You need more fucking insulin. So, basically, the same grams of sucrose inside fruit equals fewer dirty byproducts and cleaner mitochondrial flux than any other fucking carb source, okay? So, to conclude this slide, okay, it was a bit complicated, but to conclude this slide, fruit, good for you, no matter what, okay? Candy bars, the sugar is pretty much... doesn't matter, like it's neutral, but then you have shit from seed oils, emulsifiers, like all the other chemicals, and you don't get the antioxidants. And complex carbs, even if they're fucking organic and stuff, yeah, you don't get those chemicals, but you don't get the antioxidants, and the inflammation is even worse. So like they're trading blows, you know. The candy bars, like the processed junk, and the complex carbs are kind of trading blows on which one is more unhealthy. Now, theory 5, types of carbs, okay? So we're going to be ranking the fucking types of carbs. We're going to be covering them from least to most complex, right? So we start with simple carbs, which are 1 or 2 sugar units, fast digestion, quick insulin spike, so good carbs, all right? So yeah, fructose, which are mainly found in fruit, like bananas, apples, grapes, mango, and it's also found in honey. Then we have glucose, which is also found in fruit, grapes, cherries, honey, sports drinks, right? Glucose is also, you can find in processed junk, right? Then we have galactose, which is can only be found in dairy, milk, yogurt, cheese. Now we have sucrose, which is glucose plus fructose. Okay, so table sugar, candy, desserts, some fruit. Right, so also some processed sugars. Lactose, which, you know, we all know that one, especially, you know, if you're not white. Haha, fuck yeah. But milk, yogurt, cheese. And then maltose, which is glucose plus glucose. So see. Which is in malted cereals, beer, sweet potatoes. So here's where we start to fucking draw the line, you know. But then we have complex carbs, which are long chains of sugar units, lower digestion, low insulin release, etc., etc. And, you know, these are starch, the amylose, which are long strains of glucose chains, which they're mainly found in rice, pasta, potatoes, oats, bread. And then we have starch, amylopectin, which is branch glucose chains, which can be found in white rice, sticky rice, wheat. And so rule of thumb, simple carbs are mono and disaccharides, so 1 or 2 sugar molecules, and complex carbs are polysaccharides, many sugar molecules linked, okay? And you might have noticed that these fucking sugars are highlighted, right? Fructose, glucose, sucrose, maltose. Those are sugars that are actually also found as processed sugars, right? When you fucking get a snack, it's gonna say glucose or high fructose corn syrup, etc., etc. So many of these processed sugars are actually just extracts of the same sugars that are also found in fruit. And fruit sugars are good for you, right? But then, you know, some of you are going to be thinking that, but what about the manufacturing process? We'll get into that later, okay? So now we're going to get into sugar and inflammation and insulin, okay? So now with all of this information in mind, we can draw to the conclusion that processed sugars aren't inherently bad for you, okay? We have fruit sugars as anchors, which anyone will agree they are objectively healthy, okay? No matter what, can we all agree that fruit sugars are good for you? Yes? Okay, good. So now we have processed sugars, which, I mean, many of those processed sugars are literally just extracts. I mean, yeah, it's from other sources, but still extracts of those same sugars that are found in fruit. And they also behave exactly how they do in fruit, okay? So they digest the same way that your body digests sugar from fruit. So, with that logic in mind, can we draw the conclusion that processed sugars aren't inherently bad for you? All right, and unlike complex carbs, which fuck with your insulin. And you know, I mean, you know, ChatGPT, you know, I entered the prompt, yo, Mr. ChatGPT, how how many years have humans or its ancestors been evolving to consume fruit? So how long have we been consuming fruit? And how long have we been consuming grains, right? And this is what ChatGPT said. Fruit eaten by primates, our ancestors, for 30 to 60 million years, right? And official humans for 4 to 6 million years, right? And grains, eating very little, 100 to 200,000 years ago, right? And it's only being more fucking eaten more commonly for 10 to 12,000 years ago. So we have a fucking food that your body has been adapting for millions of years, right? A nutrient that your body has been adapted for millions of years to digest as best as possible, versus another food that we've only been pretty much evolving to digest for a couple thousand, right? And that's because and also if you do more research and stuff, we've only really been consuming grains en masse ever since the invention of farming. And coincidentally, the fucking, when they dig up, the archaeologists, they dig up skeletons and shit, coincidentally, when they carbon date them, the fucking tooth rotting, smaller, lower bone density, smaller humans, they also started popping up at the same time as farming started popping up. Farming of grains and consumption of grains. Coincidence? I think not. Also, editor's calf here, I forgot to mention, more proof that your body is not evolved to fucking consume these complex carbs. When you put rice in your mouth, when you put pasta in your mouth, when you put bread in your mouth, what does it taste like? Fucking nothing. It doesn't taste like anything, okay? But here's the thing. When you put something like fruit or, these processed sugars in your mouth, like sugarcane or whatever fuck, guess what? It tastes yummy. It's fucking sweet. Why? Because your body has evolved a fucking magical tracker, a magical system to detect what is good for you and what is bad for you. You know what? You want to know what it's fucking called? It's called taste and disgust, okay? If something is fucking yummy, it's good for you. If something is yucky, it's bad for you. That's why you don't eat fucking grass, because it's yucky. But if you eat a steak, that's yummy. Likewise, if you eat a fucking vegetable, like a real vegetable, it's fucking yucky. If you eat a fruit, it's yummy. Okay, so that's more proof that your body is not adapted to consume these fucking complex carbs. It's not yummy. It's not in this, like your system to detect what is fucking eatable or not does not recognize this. It's fucking alien to them. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that real quick. So to my point, we're far more adapted to fruit sugars than high grain starch intake, okay? So verdict, simple sugars, whether they be natural or not, are not inherently bad for you, okay? Unlike complex carbs, which are found in foods that we have not evolved to consume, okay? And I say inherently bad for you because no matter what you do, sugar is it's bad for you because it causes fucking inflammation, right? Except, fruit have antioxidants, etc., etc. But apart from that inflammatory process, sugar, even processed ones, are not bad for you. So now, a lot of you will be thinking, oh, well, I don't care about the insulin, about the fucking complex carbs insulin. My guy, are you stupid? Okay, let me give you a list of consequences of insulin resistance that are more related to gym terms. But, as a broad term, insulin resistance leads to diabetes, fat, obesity, heart disease, etc., etc. High cholesterol, because fun fact, most of your cholesterol is derived from sugars in your body. But anyway, I'm not gonna. The long noses are gonna hunt me down for exposing the truth about the medical industry. But anyway, here's a gym-focused rundown of what insulin resistance does to you. Okay, so flat pumps, weak sessions. Okay, less GLUT4 transmitter activity, poor glucose uptake, flat fatigue, shaky mid-set. So you're gonna get less pumps because your insulin resistance is fucked. And also, we're going to have slower glycogen resynthesis, so you gas out sooner, back-to-back training days feel worse, so you recover slower. Hypertrophy hit, blunted insulin plus amino acid synergy equals weaker mTOR response, okay? Which leads to slower muscle protein synthesis. And let me also re-clarify this. You only have two anabolic hormones, okay? Testosterone, DHT, no. Those are not anabolic hormones. They're indirectly anabolic, but they're not anabolic. The real anabolic hormones are insulin and IGF-1. Okay, and I'm not sure, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure also IGF-1 takes the same cell receptor. I could be wrong. I'll double check in the editing. But basically, when you eat rice constantly, pasta, you're blunting your body's main anabolic hormone. So you're going to be less anabolic, you're going to be you're going to be putting less body fat, less fucking muscle. And then your strength ceiling is also going to go down. Inconsistent fueling, your central nervous system feels underpowered, your bar speed drops, And you're gonna have more energy crashes intra-workout, right? Ms. Top says lower volume because when you have insulin resistance, your body's gonna be like, oh fuck, what am I gonna do when my blood sugar's down? It doesn't know how to fucking activate the cortisol, the adrenals to elevate blood sugar from body fat. So you're gonna be feeling like shit after a bit. Alright, and that's why these diabetes people are like, oh, my blood sugar's low, because they fucked their body's mechanism of raising blood sugar. And then your body is going to get ugly, right? You're going to get worse nutrient partitioning, more to fat, less to muscle. And easier visceral fat gains. It's not only visceral fat, it's literally just body fat full stop, right? If you elevate your fucking insulin resistance, your body's going to have to secrete more insulin, which means you're going to have insulin higher and longer in your body. And like I said before, insulin, did I say before? But insulin fucking tells your body, stop using energy, we're storing energy. So even in a deficit, your body's gonna find it hard to use the energy, which I mean, yeah, you know, nobody's gonna violate the fucking thermodynamics and stuff. So if you're in a deficit, you will lose fat, but you're gonna feel like utter shit until your body readapts. Now, part 2, hormone skewed. Your sex hormone binding globulins are gonna go down, which means higher free estrogen relative to T. Lower LH/FSH drive, which means lower testosterone output, and those are the hormones that tell your balls to make fucking testosterone. Increased aromatase with fat gain, which means to more T being lost and turned into estrogen, right? Which increases the gyno risk, acne risk, right? You know, I can myself attest for that. If you watch my gyno video, coincidentally, one of the solutions was to cut out complex carbs. And your recovery is gonna slow down. Chronic low-grade inflammation increases the DOMS linger, increases the DOMS. And your joints are gonna feel like shit. That's why most people, my shoulder hurts. I wonder why, you fuck. And then you're gonna have poor sleep quality. So you can't rebound. What the fuck did I say there? Anyway, and then your carb tolerance is gonna tank. Big meals lead to postprandial crashes, brain fog, cravings. And you start fearing carbs because they feel awful and under fuel training, right? And then your terminals, like I said, they're gonna fuck up. Your cardio-based stuff hurts because the mitochondria underperform. And then your skin and gut tells, right? You're gonna have more breakouts, higher bloat, etc., etc. And then your progress is gonna stall. You're gonna plateau more fucking often, even though you have your perfect programming, and you're gonna need even more fucking caffeine to feel normal. But yeah, that's right. So I mean, you can go online, search consequences of insulin resistance. It's gonna give you a fuck ton of shit. But this is like a dumbed down version of like mainly shit the gym bros would be fucking concerned, right? So it's a big picture. Insulin resistance makes every rep more expensive and every calorie less productive. Okay, so fix your insulin sensitivity, which will lead to better pumps, better partitioning, faster recovery, higher T to stress ratio, and a higher ceiling for both hypertrophy and strength. Okay, and like I said before, many of you motherfuckers are gonna say,
but what about the manufacturing process of fucking processed sugars?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I guess they're kind of bad, right? You know, the manufacturing process, no matter what you do, the fucking long noses, they're gonna find any way to cut out, to cheapen their manufacturing process. So there's gonna be some unhealthy stuff. But here's the thing: it's so minorly unhealthy that it doesn't even matter. Okay, it's not like the fucking manufacturing process of seed oils, which I'll put a picture fucking here, right? That's a manufacturing of seed oils, which has a fuck ton of chemicals, barely any mechanical process. It's just chemicals. They have fucking petroleum in it. Like when you eat seed oils, you're eating fucking petroleum. You're eating bleach. Like it's crazy. You're eating chlorine or whatever. Anyway, the manufacturing process for processed sugars is nowhere near as bad. Like nowhere near. And I'm not going to cover them extensively because that's going to take a fuck ton, but I'm just going to flash them on the screen real quick. So this is for high fructose corn syrup. Here are the processes. This is kind of like the worst one, but it's still like nowhere near as bad as shit like seed oils. Then we have glucose syrup. So you know, the fucking processes are just like very little now, and they're mainly mechanical, right? Then we have white sugar, which is refined sucrose. Here you can read them all. They're all mechanical. And by the way, if there's a mechanical process, it's not unhealthy. It's just fucking physics, right? There's no chemical shit. So you can be fine. So there's barely any chemical, and the chemicals are not even that bad, right? Fucking carbonation. And then we have brown sugar, which is like the healthiest one. It's just literally like, what, 3 fucking processes, and 2 of them are mechanical, and the chemical one is like not even that bad. Okay, so and if any of you motherfuckers thought you were going to be smart by saying, what about the manufacturing processes? Well, here you are. Okay, read them, and you'll see that it's not that bad. So what's the solution? Stop eating complex carbs, okay? Instead, get your carbs from fast sugars: fruit, honey, maple syrup, sugar cane syrup, and obviously all organic, you know. The only exception really is milk, right? Only eat milk if you're bulking. I'll make another video of that. But milk is the most shit food you can be eating for weight loss, but the most goated food for bulking. Okay, if you want to put on weight, milk is the goat. If you want to lose weight, milk is shit. Not because it's unhealthy, but because milk is not designed to lose weight. But anyway, I'll make a video on that. And stop fearing your cheat days with processed food. Okay, if you're healthy, so me personally, I only eat organic animal products, so meat, dairy, honey, and fruit. That's all I eat, right? And that's pretty much all I eat every single day. So having a day or two of binging processed shit isn't the end of the world, or having a snack here and there, it's not going to be the end of the world. It's nothing at all, really. And it's going to be less unhealthy than eating complex carbs, right? So processed shit with cereals, preservatives, etc. is less unhealthy for you than organic grain, if you're healthy as a standard, right? And at least if you're European, your Americans have some crazy chemicals in your food, so I'd do some more research on that. But as a European, the chemicals aren't even that bad, so it's very much worth it here. I don't know about you Americans, do some more research, and you can ask me in the comments and stuff, but yeah, you Americans have some crazy chemicals in your food, bro. So, conclusion, sugar isn't the villain, okay? Chemicals alongside processed sugar in junk food, like preservatives, food dyes, seed oils, emulsifiers, are the devil, okay? And also chronic insulin is the real killer in healthy carbs like rice and pasta, as it leads to insulin resistance, okay? So, short, clean spikes tied to output equals signals your body has evolved millions of years to understand, okay? And I'm talking about insulin here. And slowed, constant drip of insulin is noise your body can't recover from that your body has not evolved to process, okay? So use fast sugars on purpose, separate them from fats. Watch my other video here on why you shouldn't be eating carbs and fat together. And let insulin fully reset daily, okay? Fast. Do some fasting every now and then, or at least from sugar, okay? Don't eat sugar all the time, man. I mean, preferably you should only be there's another video about fucking eat sugar timing, but preferably you should only be eating sugar right before and especially right after workout, and then after that you're only spiking your insulin for pretty much nothing. And that's how you get leaner, feel better, and still eat sweet, all in a caloric surplus. I can attest myself, I've lost body fat on a 500 calorie surplus minimum, probably even more. And stay away from complex carbs, okay, and processed foods, especially if you're American. And if you're gonna have a cheat day and you're healthy consistently, then cheating with processed junk food is less unhealthy than cheating with complex carbs, okay? But still, I'm not gonna do some long nose shit like Mike Arzutel, which he is a long nose, and say cereals are good for you. I'm not a stupid bush like that, okay? Processed food, even processed sugar, is not good for you, okay? You should only be eating organic stuff, okay? So, animal products and fruit, all organic, okay? So yeah, that's my take on fucking processed sugars. They're not actually that bad for you, and complex carbs are even worse. So yeah, fuck rice, fuck pasta. So what time is it? 12:36. So you know what time it is? It's time to get my fucking I fucked it up. It's time to get my fucking pre-workout in, okay? And hit a heavy bench session. So I'll see you on the next one. Thank you for watching.